Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, more specifically in this instance, the work-in-progress Philips CDI core, because over the weekend the developer Slamy released not one but two different cores, updating graphics, sound, and giving us another playable Zelda game. And just like the Nintendo 64 core at the beginning of last year, it's fun to see how all of these core changes affect everything within the actual games in and of itself, and I'm excited to see that people are actually watching episodes on CDI, because while it's not a perfect platform, there is fun to be had. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. But Zelda's Adventure, the third game in the trilogy on CDI, now works in the core. You're going to have sound, at least in the FMV cut sequences, and the game is going to play with pretty much almost no graphical corruption. There's definitely some loading issues as you go from screen to screen, definitely taking longer, it seems, than real CDI hardware ever would. But this game went from not working whatsoever to now being playable in the core. And I would say of the three Legend of Zelda games on the CDI, this one feels the most like a quote-unquote game. Definitely has a lot of Link to the Past vibes as far as the overhead view. Definitely not as good as something like Link to the Past, but it is a game worth experiencing, and it is something you can check out now on the CDI. And again, every single core update brings us something new, something to see and do differently, and you'll see here once you actually do take a death, it does take a while to load in. So there's definitely going to be a slowness to this game when you're actually playing it. Nothing I would try to actually beat from start to finish and see the credits scroll today, but it is another title that is working, and I'll give you a visual and audio sample of it a little bit later in the video. But pretty much everyone was asking to see a demonstration of this game, and the only reason I hadn't shown it to you yet was because it was not actually loading in the core. Because you need to remember, just because one game loads, not everything is going to, because there's so many different functions and calls to the hardware on any platform, and when you're developing a FPGA core in Verilog or VHDL, sometimes an instruction set or an implementation is either bugged or not there yet, which would prevent one game from running where the next game would run totally fine. So don't expect a fully playable library at this point in time. Every time there's a new game, we just get excited for it, and we get to check out what's going on. You will see those sprites there in the spiders, a little bit of corruption, and because we died again, it is going to take a while to load out. Now this is the last video I showed you guys, and of course Jeopardy, not the most exciting game in the world, but an excellent visual example. Look at the background here as Trebek walks into the host podium, and now we'll move into the new core and you will see a fundamental night and day difference in the overall graphical qualities. Another layer is now rendering properly, and this looks exactly like it would look on a CDI, but do be aware there's a lot of weirdness in the audio, so there's a headphones warning pretty much anytime you're playing this core, checking things out. I definitely do not put my headphones on when I watch this footage. And you'll see here in the new core, again from the old core, all of the graphics are displaying properly. It looks like the Jeopardy board. All of the different text is there, and you can even go in and actually play a round of Jeopardy. So we'll do a little fun thing here. We're going to go to the movies for 100. Go ahead and answer the question down below. Let's see who gets this one right. The film that inspired the 1991 headline Lamb's Chops competition at box office. Give me that answer down below. Now, I know you guys always ask about the quote-unquote naughtier games on the CDI, something like Vegas Girls here. Big thanks to Andy D for helping with the captures. We went in to see if this would work. Really wasn't going to show much footage from it, but you guys always ask about these games, and I will say, at least at this point in time, you can't get too far in. But these games ended up existing on hardware like this because it wasn't doing great at the marketplace. It wasn't selling a ton of consoles, so kind of pivoting it to this type of title always does help sell a few more units, and they're pretty cheap games to make. So that's why games like this actually show up on the hardware. But let's move back to Zelda, because I told you I was going to give you an example of how the core sounds, and do be aware that not every single game is going to have sound. Some of the games are going to have sound, but there's going to be a lot of distortion to them, and something like Zelda's Adventure here, you're not going to have much sound whatsoever in the actual game, but the FMV cut sequence at the beginning actually is going to have full voice-over narration and music, and it sounds pretty good coming out of the core. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, hear what the core currently sounds like, and I'll be back to show you a few more games on CDI that you can actually play today.
There will be no more viewing tonight. Ah, the scroll of Shermak, bearer of sad news these many years ago. And so it was that Ganon, Lord of Darkness, had taken over Ptolemaic. He had stolen the treasured celestial signs and captured Link. A brave warrior would have to be found to face this evil monster.
Now that you've seen Kirkland Brand Gandalf there do his little spells and incantations, you can hear that it is coming through on your speakers, and everything does sound relatively good. And again, this isn't the best acting you're ever going to get, it's not the best voice acting you're ever going to get, but it is a good example of just how far this core has come, because only 2 weeks ago, there was absolutely nothing with sound whatsoever. This game didn't boot, and a lot of things like the Jeopardy example I showed you before were just absolutely corrupted graphically, and really weren't that pleasing to the eye. Now here though, you're going to see, if you basically just pause this video, everything looks like it should, and again, Zelda's going to have some speed and loading issues, but otherwise it is a quote-unquote playable game, and one you can check out on the core today. Now going over to Golden Oldies, Guardian and Invaders here, not the most exciting games on the CDI in any way, shape, or form, and at least for Invaders, the overall title screen is still going to be bugged, but these are games, arcade kind of classics, that you can play on the core today. So I would say, as far as playability is concerned, these two titles might be the actual best. Hotel Mario has improved as well, but I'm going to save that one for a future video when we get a little bit more sound in there and the loading and freezing issues maybe go away. But as far as Invaders is concerned, again, it basically is just an arcade clone of games you played before, but as a technical example of what the core is currently doing today, it is a great example of that, and it is a game with a capital G that you can actually experience on the CDI core. But leave me a comment down below and tell me, did you have a CDI back in the day? Did you play one? I'd say for the most part, 9 out of 10 of you have never actually seen a CDI before, and that makes sense. I honestly haven't played many real hardware examples either. But moving over to Guardian here, you're going to see that faux parallax scrolling on the bottom of the screen. That looks great. The heads-up display is here. There really isn't anything within this capture that looks bad to me, but again, this is not a game I can just pop into real CDI hardware because I do not own a CDI or this game. So if you do, tell me down below in the comments, and I have had a few users offer to do captures on real CDI hardware, and I'm absolutely going to take them up on that when the core is close to done, if not done, because right now comparing it to real hardware just shows you the deficiencies. Really isn't a super awesome learning experience. But even that star field in the background, you can see different stars moving at different rates, giving you that parallax look. So as far as this image is concerned, as far as this game is concerned, just load it up, play it, have some fun. It's not the deepest experience ever, but it is a game you're going to be able to play on the CDI core today. Now, another quote-unquote game that's seen a lot of improvements is Laser Lords. I have absolutely no idea what in the hell is going on with this FMV intro sequence. I would give you a sound example, but there's a lot of distortion and ground hum in the background, not the type of thing that you want to really listen to. But this intro is just kind of CDI to a definition. It's weird, it's quirky, it's completely different than anything else you've ever played, and you're not quite sure if it's good or not, but you're definitely intrigued as to what's going on, because there's a transition into the next screen here. Some of the characters in Laser Lord, absolutely insane. I mean, just look at that guy there. Kind of looks like a face only a mother could love, honestly. But it is hilarious, and it is something you can play in the core today, at least for the introductory sequence. And this is a lot of what the CDI was, these strange experimental games, these strange experiences that you're not quite sure what the hell's going on, but you want to just continue to watch, because obviously we have reptilians in space, and that is always going to be a fun time. And some of the costumes here are pretty hilarious as well. It kind of look like they're made out of foam, and some paper mache going on as well, but it is a really fun look. And the last time I tried to show you this game was completely corrupted. You had absolutely no intro footage whatsoever, and it just wasn't something that could really be explained. Now that you can actually see the footage of Laser Lords, I still can't really explain what it is that's supposed to be happening here, but at least now I can give you that visual example, and you'll see here as this overlay comes up and our reptilian overlords come back in. Again, the animations are there, the graphics are there. It's 10 times better looking, even if it's 10 times weirder once you can actually see it. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite examples in the video. And the introductory cut sequence to the Lemmings is completely graphically glitch free now as well. Unfortunately, you can't actually get into the game of Lemmings yet. It does seem to freeze the core when you actually try to play the game. The last time I showed this to you, it was a complete mess of corruption. You could see a couple of things and you could determine it was Lemmings, but it didn't look great. And now on the current core, it looks like a 10 out of 10. But that's the current situation with the current CDI core. It is getting so much better, and some games are definitely playable. There's still a lot of work to be done, but Slamy is definitely doing that work, and next time there's a fundamental core update, I will do another preview. And if there's any games on CDI you want to see tested, leave me a comment down below, and I'll try to check out each and every one of them. The CDI keeps getting better, we keep doing videos, and I'll see you guys in the next core. Bye-bye.